If you wonder why your video's bumping up and down, is because Cody's in a cast on his foot because he jumped out of a pickup truck.
You know, I was watching the pole vaulting in the Olympics, and I figured might as well go ahead and try a triple cork backflip out of the bed of my truck, and well, it just didn't work out for me. So what we're going to show off today is our believed to be 1913 4 horsepower Nelson Brothers. From what we can tell, these are a pretty rare motor. It is sitting on custom oak slabs on a custom built cart. These motors normally come with a gas tank base that sets them up a lot higher. I think we actually have the original base for it, but we opted not to put it on this cart just because it sets the motor up really high and makes it really top heavy and kind of annoying to try and move around. So what's cool about this motor versus other motors, if we come over and look on this 1914 T. Eaton, you'll see that it has grease cups right here on the top of the both main bearings and on the rod, the connecting rod bearing. All you do is, right before you start it, you twist them a little bit to get some grease on them, and you're good to lube them. On this one, however, you don't have the grease cups on it. You actually have just a little channel with some cheesecloth in it. You sprinkle a little bit of oil on it. Go ahead and turn the grease cup on the rod bearing. Go ahead and oil just a couple little bit of moving parts, just to keep it all well lubricated, as you want to do with any motor. So before we get this one fired up, I'm going to go ahead and say that this motor has not been cranked today. This will be a cold start of it.
Should take about 4 pulls to crank it because you got to get gas up to it. The gas tank is below it, so it's got to suck it up to it.
When we were originally building this cart, we normally have the gas tanks hooked up behind the battery box off the back. But this one, the gas tank was kind of obnoxiously big and just didn't look right, and we were kind of running out of room with it. So we sat for probably a couple days figuring how we wanted to mount the gas tank, and eventually I came up with the idea to mount the gas tank to the box, and the box is mounted to the cart itself, so the gas tank is actually just suspended up underneath it. The problem with these motors is the way the carburetor is set up, fuel level in the tank, and how high the fuel is above the carb or below the carb plays a really big deal on how it runs. Yeah. And this one's set down pretty low.
This engine's a little different in that it does have a spark plug, and as you can tell, instead of igniter like the last T we saw, and this one is run by a Model T buzz coil. Model T's had 4 buzz coils, and my bet is that the old farmer that probably owned it got where he was going, took a buzz coil out of the Model T, put it on this, ran the motor all day, took the buzz coil off, put it back in his Model T and went home. It's a little 6-volt battery in the buzz coil. Of course, your Model T's were 6 volt. Originally, this motor had a mag on it that would, because of magnets and wires, would produce a spark. However, it probably got destroyed or weak and did not work years ago. And on this side, you will see that a farmer, somebody actually made a bar, hooked a metal to it, and then you can see that it has a bolt, and I have kind of pointed the head of the bolt. When it touches this piece, then that's the set of points, and it will actually fire and make the plug fire and run. So some farmer had a really good idea, and it works really, really well.
All right, so another cool thing about this motor is when we first got it, it was missing its exhaust. So he actually spent some time and custom made a muffler for it.
All that's just freehand bending. I didn't have a roller. All that's just done freehand, but it came out pretty good.
It actually works quite well, and if the weather's calm, we'll blow smoke rings for us.
We actually wanted it real short because if we wanted to pull a flat belt in either direction, we wanted to do that rather than just being able to pull it off the back. So with it short up against the head, then we could run a flat belt in either direction. It did not, when this got this motor, it did not have a carburetor on it. We had to get the buzz coil and all set up on it. We've had to replace and fix several things on it, but as you'll see, I think we got it there.
All right, so as we said earlier, it takes about 3 to 4 turns to get the gas sucked up to the carb for it to finally fire.
There's 2.
Now, also with this motor, it has really high compressions. So it's kind of a pain to turn over. Oh, there we got one going. All right, try it again. That'll be it.
This motor's got really good compression, and therefore it coasts really well in between hits. We don't have any springs on the weights on it either, so it's running really slow, but it just coasts a long time between hits, longer than any other motor I've seen.
So what's funny about this motor that we've noticed is when we're at a show and people stop to look at a hit and miss, this motor will hit once, they'll start to look at it, and it will coast longer than their attention span, and they'll move on before this thing ever hits again. So on a good day,
the hotter it gets, the more it coasts.
The hotter it gets, the more this thing coasts. And if you can hear, I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick it up, there's a little click from the cam, and a lot of people count clicks to judge how long it's been coasting or running through the cycle, just freewheeling. And on a good day, we've gotten this thing up to about 36 clicks, which for hit and miss is phenomenal.
The neat thing to me on so many of the old hit and misses is that you can see the piston, you can see the rod, the crank, you see everything working. Of course, it wouldn't meet the safety standards for today, but then, you know, back then people were smart enough to keep your hands out of something that's moving. So, works pretty well.
So it's cool. Now it's a little bit darker. You can actually see it sparking as the points are getting tripped. Try to show it from here. This thing takes forever. Yep. Alright. I'm hoping the video quality is not going to crap because it's getting darker out. GoPros usually take a good bit of light to keep them crisp and clear. But this is our 4 horsepower 1913 Nelson Brothers. When we got it, it wasn't running, but did some minor work to get it going, and it's a good, nice, strong running motor that we have no complaints. There's no plans to paint it or anything in the future. We'll just keep it like it is, right?
Well, yeah, we might paint it down the road, but not anytime soon. When we got it, it didn't have any way for the fire. We had to get a buzz coil. It didn't have a muffler. It didn't have a carburetor. It didn't have an oiler. So several of the things were worn on it. We had to go back and remachine. But we got it in pretty good shape.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and call this video. If you like some of these motors and want to see some more, I'll be glad to definitely keep making some more videos on them and some of the other stuff we have. And we'll probably come back and do another video with this one day. Maybe if we get it running something like a saw or whatnot. But this is also one of the main pieces we'll take to a show with us to run. If you ever see us at a show, come up to say hi. We'll be glad to talk. I'll announce some shows we're going to a couple weeks before we go. But that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions about what's going on here. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.